it.
Okay. How about, let's do this. I will go through these step by step and give the rationale for why they're parsed the way they're parsed, and that might clear up any questions you have in why it was a certain way. That sound good?
Yep. Yeah, most of them are probably in the parsing is probably because the inflected meaning I didn't get the inflected meaning.
Okay. Yeah, I know you said earlier that you struggled with the translations, how it actually looks in English.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
All right. Well, let's look here. I know you already have the answers to these, but the first thing I see, the first thing that's obvious is got the reduplication.
That's right.
So that's the perfect. And then the other thing is, okay, the kappa, technically kappa alpha, transformative, always goes with the perfect or the reduplication. Here it's kappa epsilon. And there's only one person and number in which that happens. That's the third singular. So I think we've got enough to do it now. We've got third, singular, perfect, active, because it's an active ending, indicative, and this is from, let's get the Greek going, pistuo, and then the translation would be, okay, so if it's perfect, have or has is the helping verb that we include in the translation. So it's third, so it'd be he, let's just say he, has believed. He has believed. And then the significance of a perfect is past action, continuing results. So that's what this little helping verb indicates to us in English. He has believed. At some point in the past, he did it, and he still is doing it, presumably. He has believed.
No, you're good. So what I came up with was, I think it's third, but what I was looking at is accusative singular perfect participle. But it's not a participle, it's indicative.
Right, right. Well, the participles have the reduplication just like the indicatives.
Yeah.
But one feature that you're going to see in most forms of the participle will be this, caught, towards the end.
Yeah.
If it was kata, then it would be, that accusative masculine form. But it doesn't have that. Because you've got, what we have here is the tense formative, it's called. Yeah. And something that distinguishes the participles from the indicative is the participle morpheme. So the OT, or the omicron tau, is the participle morpheme, is what we'd see in a form of the participle is something the indicative does not have. But you're kind of right in the sense that a lot of times the accusative case ends in new. Third declensions actually don't. But the other nouns do, so that might throw us off a little bit, and that's fine. Yeah. Just do that process of deduction and you should be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know why that was a problem for me. I think I had, having believed was the, that's because I looked at it as a participle. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, yes, ing goes with the participle translations normally, and the indicative, and generally, sometimes it'll have the ing, but it will take on the form more of a verb like this. So let's look at the next one here. Epistalmenais. All right. The first thing I notice is that, okay, from apostello, but there's a stem change, which tells me two things. For one, it's not a present or a continuous participle because that always forms from the lexical form or the present tense stem. And I guess the second thing isn't something you know just by looking at the form, but we've got three kinds of participles. We have the present or continuous, aorist or undefined, and then the perfective. This does not have reduplication. Some words actually have a vocalic reduplication. Maybe that happened here, but I can tell by looking at it it's not. What happened is this formed from the root. And that's what aorists do sometimes. So you have, oh wait, you know what? I got ahead of myself, Winfield. Because what's interesting, epe. Okay. Did he list this in the book? I haven't looked at the answers, but did he list this as perfect?
It was a dative plural perfect
passive. I got ahead of myself, yeah. Yeah, that's what it is, because it's a strange form. All right. It comes from apostello, And the aorist participles, that was my first impression, it's aorist, but they're going to form directly from the root and they don't take an augment. Well, this actually has what looks like an augment. It's not.
With the alpha.
With right here, the epsilon?
Yeah, well, so yeah, okay.
Okay.
The epsilon is the augment, so what would the alpha?
Yeah, it looks like an augment, but actually here it's vocalic reduplication. Vocalic reduplication. Aorist participles don't have any kind of augmentation. They're always going to look the same. It would be epistelmenice if it was aorist middle. But since it has some kind of change up there, it's got to be perfect.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Kinda. I mean.
Yeah. Because, okay, this is from epistel, all right? So epa with an omicron plus the stel. Well, for one, there's a stem change because it's stal. Tells us it's definitely not the present or continuous tense. The other thing is,
There's two lambdas, right? Apostolo.
Yeah, the present tense has two lambdas. Yeah.
And so when you take off one of the lambdas, right? Isn't that part of the stem change?
It is. This is a perfect stem formation, which a lot of times the perfect is the same as the present. In this case, it's not. The one thing that clues us off, though, is that maybe we're not familiar with the change in the perfect, and that's fine. The one thing that cues us off is that little augment-looking change to the apa. Here it's epe. Aorists do not take augmentation of any kind. So that leaves us with one option: vocalic reduplication. So it's got to be perfect. Nothing will happen with the aorist. If it was aorist, it'd be apa still.
Okay.
Anyway, taking that information, let's parse it. We need case, number, and gender. So we've got case would be dative, number would be plural, gender would be feminine.
Because of the men?
Because we know it's feminine because of the alpha there. We've got two middle passive participle morpheme options for the mena and the mene. It's got mena with an omicron, masculine or neuter. And if it's mene or mena with the alpha, we know that it's feminine. So dative, plural, feminine. And we need the tense, voice, tense and voice here. So this is going to be, we said it was perfect.
Passive.
Yes, we might say middle passive.
Middle passive. Middle passive.
It's a participle from apostello. Okay, and what did you come up with for a translation? Or did you just want me to give that?
Having been sent.
Okay, good. Yeah, having been sent is very good. If it was adverbial, that would work perfectly. If it was adjectival, we might say it this way: to those, and maybe it's women, who have been sent. That's a mouthful, but that would be the sense.
That's when it's adjectival?
Yeah.
Okay. And when it's substantive, I thought with the substantive you have to add the words to, right? One who or that which.
Yes.
If it's substantive.
If it's substantive, yes. So I included these just because we don't know what the broader context is. If we did, we might just include this and be fine. Who have been sent, like that.
Okay. All right.
And we can just put the women. We don't need those women.
And the other one, that Bestua Thenta, I don't know why I put that on there. I don't know if that made a mistake there, because that looks pretty easy.
Why don't you parse it? We'll see.
Well, maybe, yeah. It's Pestu, so I see that. There's a theta eta, which is a tense formative, right?
Good.
And then
yeah.
Tau,
Yeah.
which is a morpheme. Third declension with the epsilon sigma, which is nominative plural. So nominative plural, masculine. It is so it would be
tense.
tense
Transformative gives that away.
Yeah, theta eta is aorist.
Yes. Theta epsilon is aorist.
Yeah, theta epsilon aorist. And then it is where am I at?
The voice, you got active,
Passive.
middle, or passive. There you go.
It's passive. And it is participle.
Participle, of course. You already said it's from pistuo.
Yeah. And then it would be pistuo. Have undefined. Having believed.
Having believed, that's close. That's close. If we say having believed, it kind of has this active sense.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking undefined. All right. So it's passive. So it
yeah.
would be, having been believing, or
yeah. I would just say having been believed.
Okay.
Now, technically, have or has is kind of the helping verb we use for the perfect tense, but a lot of times it is the sense of the aorist, like I said in the video, so that's fine. Another option would be, if it was adverbial, we could say, what's that?
After being believed?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Or upon being believed, maybe, if the action was contemporaneous, something like that. There's a number of possibilities here.
Okay. All right, and then if it's nominative plural, it would be something like they after they.
If it was adjectival or substantival, we'd want to include that, the understood noun or pronoun, which is plural. So something like
and that's if it's adjectival or substantive.
Yeah.
Or
if it's standing by itself and there's no noun or pronoun in the context with which it agrees in case, number, and gender, if it's by itself, then you want to include the understood noun or pronoun in the translation, as well as usually a relative pronoun like those who, they who, he who, and then the verbal translation.
Okay.
All right. So let's look at these two here. All right. Well, let me go through this one, and you can compare it with what you have. Okay. So kata baino changes quite a bit when it becomes a perfect participle. It has reduplication, so it's from it's a perfect participle from kata baino, and it's plural, and it looks like it's substantive. It's standing alone. It's got the article. So we'll figure out how to do this. We want to include the have or has, understanding, the understood noun or pronoun. Let's go for this. So it would be I'm just going to say ones instead of men. There might be women in the group, who knows. The ones who have descended from Jerusalem. The ones who have descended from Jerusalem.
Yeah, I think that's what his answer was. Well, the ones who have come down from Jerusalem.
Okay.
I put down they had come down from Jerusalem. They had come down. So I translated it as they had come down.
All right.
I didn't add ones who.
So what would be the difference between these two sentences? The ones who have descended or come down from Jerusalem, and they had come down. You think about it, this one is drawing attention to a verbal action, whereas this one is drawing attention to the people who did the verbal action. And that is the function of a substantival participle. It's the group who did something.
And that's why you had the ones. You had the
Yep.
ones who.
You translated it like an indicative verb. Sometimes the participles will function that way, but generally they won't. If it's substantival like this, we need to include, and I know I've been repeating this over and over again, but it's very important, the understood noun or pronoun along with the relative pronoun in the translation. So the ones who, the man who, the person who, whatever. But almost always, if it's substantive, we need to include that.
So substantive is understood noun or pronoun. Understood noun. Since you're repeating it so much, and
yeah, and the thing is, when I say understood noun or pronoun, it's like, what does that mean? Well, it means this, that they have a shorthand way of referring to groups of people, and that is, one way they do it is that by writing the participle to refer to a group of people. It's understood by this. If you look at that, that's masculine, plural. So is the ending, masculine, plural. So what's understood is that it's a group of people, and it might be women too, because generally if it's a group of men and women, they're going to use masculine endings. But it's understood that it's a group of people, so we put the ones who. How do we know that? How is it understood? By the endings and by the article.
It's got the article, but there's no other noun, right?
Right.
Which means it's substantive.
Exactly.
A substantive participle. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so we have to. So I'm just saying it out loud so I can make sure I get it. So no noun. It's active. There's no other noun to modify. So it is functioning as the noun.
Yes.
And because it's functioning as the noun, it's a substantive participle.
Yes, exactly.
And then you have to, in the translation, include the understood noun or pronoun.
Yeah.
With it. So, okay, it had come down. All right. You got the oi, masculine, plural, nominative plural, and the epsilon sigma, which is again third declension, masculine, nominative plural, masculine. All right. So
the problem with the translation here is that you made it a dependent or independent clause, a complete sentence, but in Greek is not. It's just the ones who have descended from Jerusalem. It's not a sentence. It's just a part of a sentence.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the ones who. So add ones who. The ones who came down from Jerusalem or descended. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. So.
Can I do the next one?
Yeah, please.
Process two towards or with. So, and then tous is masculine, masculine accusative plural. Right? Yeah, masculine accusative plural. Pistuo. Okay, so we got reduplication. Pistuo, which is I believe, but it's reduplicated. You got the katas, which is alpha sigma, which is accusative plural as well, in the third declension, correct?
Yep.
So, believing. So, believe. Well. After believing him,
after is an adverbial translation, and here it's working substantively. Again, it is standing in this context. It's standing alone with the article.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going to include again the key words.
The ones who believed him.
Good. Or we might say to the ones who have or had. depending on the timing of the main verb. Because remember it has the reduplication?
Yeah.
And this also informs us that it's perfect. If it's perfect, we want to include the have or has in there, or had.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm trying to memorize it. I have to take. Obviously, I didn't take the test yet. I'll take it today.
Yeah.
I'll probably take it the next.
I don't know. There's 2 translations that are pretty long, but if you struggle with that, if you put to the ones who believed him rather than had believed, that would be like minus half a point. It would not be a great penalty, Winfield.
Yeah. Well, I'm to be honest, I'm not. I just want to know it. I'm not worried so much about the points.
Yeah.
I have to figure out what it means. I'm putting together some charts to try to memorize the indicative verb chart with the English translations that goes with them. I still struggle. It's just, to me, it's like this big shotgun blast of stuff, and I just haven't in my mind been able to. Like when you look at it, you go bam, and you can go through 6 things, and it just takes you right to the answer. I'm just not there yet.
No. No, that's. I mean, it takes time. It takes time.
I just want it to be faster. So.
I understand. It does take time. It takes time.
Yeah, no, that's good. When next week, or I didn't even look. Do we have class next week? Do we start next week?
We do have. Well, let's see. It's gonna March. Yeah, we do. Sometimes when spring break comes along, we usually have class anyway. Maybe it's a little lighter that week, but we start our 4th session, our last session next week.
Will we finish the book?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We're really close to finishing the book, actually.
Yeah, we. I keep thinking that this is where I'm at right now. I keep thinking that we're coming into the summer session. I'm like, this is the last class. It's not.
Not quite. No. Got 8 weeks left, and then we're done.
Yeah. Oh, I'm okay with it. I'm trying to figure out what my summer's going to be like.
It is a long class. It's 4 sessions. It's 4 sessions of meaty material.
Yeah. No, it's good. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do during the summer.
Okay.
Like how to. I guess I'm going to use. I really use the Brainscape. I mean, I think that's an invaluable tool. For me, anyway, I've created my own cards.
Excellent.
That have been helpful. But I guess I'll probably be doing that, and I'm trying to do some translation work as well. I know I've been taking up your time, so.
Did you want to do it says translation number 7 here. Did you want to try that?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Give my book here.
I can type it out for you if you want.
That's okay. Let's see. This would be exercise 30, right?
Yeah, 121 in the workbook.
All right, I got it. So, Upogar en beblemenos aisten fulaken ha Ioannis. All right. So, for John, hen beblemenos, we got an imperfect form of emi with a perfect participle, which is I mentioned this in the video. I believe that would be a pluperfect translation. Had been. For John, upo is not yet. For John had not yet been cast or thrown into prison. So the first kind of challenging thing is that periphrastic construction. You've got the imperfect form of emi plus the perfect participle, and then figuring out where to put not yet in the translation. For John, this is how I would do it. For John had not yet been cast or been thrown into prison. And I'm glad you asked about this because this is one that shows up somewhere. Maybe it's a quiz, maybe it's the exam, but that's one or something very close to that's going to show up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember those periphrastic constructions that I mentioned in the video.
Yeah, I was actually looking at them this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I just don't. I remember loosely. I don't. Obviously, I haven't learned it. For John.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's how you translate it. The subject comes all the way at the end, whereas in English we're going to put it all the way at the front.
Yeah. How does Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Not yet, for he was after being thrown. No.
Literally, it'd be not yet, for he had been thrown into prison, John.
And then for the English, we'd have to reinsert the subject ahead of the verb.
Yeah. Subject always comes before the verb, and then we generally start at least a clause, sometimes a sentence, with what's called that postpositive gar, for John. Okay, so now we've got to figure out, okay, how do you put not yet with had been thrown? For John had not yet been thrown. I think that's how we'd want to say it in English. But it's a little bit of a word puzzle.
So it
Yeah.
Blemenos
Yes.
is had been thrown.
Well, literally, it's having been thrown, but it appears with the imperfect form of a me. Ein is translated he, she, or it was.
Was.
So literally, he, sure it was, having been thrown.
Okay. So when I translated it myself, and I didn't clean it up, it was not yet, for he was after having thrown into the prison, John.
Right. You can drop the after in the translation for this one. For periphrastic, you generally drop the after, the while.
So really, I wasn't that far off. It was just the how do you describe it? Word puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you look at it; these participles are kind of piggybacking on the form of a me, which means they function more like an indicative verb. So if you say after or while, you're still translating it as an adverb. Neither will it have the understood noun or pronoun, because it's functioning like a verb when it's piggybacking on a me like that. So literally, for he had not yet, or literally I guess we'd say he was having been thrown in prison. Okay, he had been thrown in prison. It is functioning more like a verb, just like a me would do. I don't know if that makes sense, but what I'm saying is when a perfect participle like this appears with the form of a me, it's going to be translated more like an indicative verb.
Okay.
So that means eliminate the keyword after or while, and no understood noun or pronoun to include in the translation.